boy. Book time, book time, book time, book time. Book time. It's soda, I swear. I swear. Not sponsored, not sponsored. Jarritos, hit me up. Oh boy, time to ramble about a book I like. Book review. Today, we're talking about Project Hail Mary. Wow. That was incredible. I just finished this like a week ago, and it's time to yap about it because over the weekend I just saw the movie as well. Funny story. I was in the library and or the bookstore, and I saw this on a shelf, read the back, and was like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting." Did not see until I got home the little major motion picture featuring Ryan Gosling thing. I didn't see that, so I got into the book like a little late. I had saw like 1 second of the trailer when the trailer came out and was like, oh, I need to I needed to avoid spoilers at all costs. So that was pretty funny. Within like 3 or 4 days, I flew through this book, and might I say this is probably one of the best sci-fi books I've read in a long time. And I genuinely mean that, because it's very interesting the way Andy Weir writes his sci-fi. I've never read The Martian, but I've been told that The Martian is great. I've seen the movie, and that movie is awesome. But this is my first Andy Weir book, and I very much enjoyed the story of Ryland Grace and the Project Hail Mary mission. This was some very interesting sci-fi. I feel like it's a little different. Before I get into like spoilers, I'm just giving it a little general taste of what's going on here. The sci-fi feels, I don't want to say like real, but it feels a little more grounded, because I feel like we have, of course there's elements that are not as like true to real life science, but there's a lot of real life science referenced throughout this entire book, which I kind of like, because it sets the setting without you needing to do much work in terms of the setting, because you're already familiar with the environment. It's real life. Like this book plays out sort of as as I read it, it felt like something that could happen or has happened kind of book. You know, I don't know if that truly makes sense, but for people who've read this book, I'm sure you understand what I mean. To get into the plot point situation here, we have something going on in our solar system where the sun starts dimming, and there's this anomalous line that's going from the sun to Venus. And scientists sent a satellite to go check what it is, and they find out that there's these little microorganisms in that red line that they call the red line throughout the book, or it's eventually called the Petrova line, because I forgot the name of the person, but something Petrova discovered the whole little microorganisms. But they bring samples back to Earth, and they need to understand more about it. They don't understand how a little tiny little microbiome species can survive near the surface of the sun, and then why are they traveling to Venus? So towards the beginning of the book, the main character, he finds himself waking up from a really long coma, and he's in like a bed situation with like a bunch of tubes and IVs plugged up into him everywhere, and in all sorts of uncomfortable places. He can like barely move. He can't really move yet. But when he looks around the room, he sees 2 other beds with 2 other people also knocked out. But there's these like robot arms from the ceiling that are like trying to keep him asleep, trying to keep him in the bed every time he tries to get up. Eventually, after some time, he hears the computer system and the robot asking him, what is 2 plus 2? And he struggles to answer at first, not just because he doesn't know the answer, but because he can't speak yet. So he's like literally mumbling like 4, and the computer can't fully understand him. After some time, he like throws out like an equation, like he says some long equation that equals 4, but the computer goes incorrect, and it repeats, what is 2 plus 2? And he's like, this computer's bad, because that was the right answer. So when he eventually can, he says 4, and then the computer asks him, what is your name? And then he's like stuck, struggling, because he doesn't remember his name. And he's like, what's my name? Oh my god, what's my name? So like he tries to get off the bed, and he's like avoiding the robot arms, and he like falls off the bed, and a bunch of the tubes connected to multiple places like come out of him, and he's like kind of writhing in pain on the floor, struggling to like get up, because he's stuff was just yanked out of him from everywhere. But then you get your first transition into a flashback. He sees like a trail of his blood, and then remembers the red line, and then you get a flashback to when he was back on Earth, and he was like watching the news on like in his apartment that he describes as like his single man apartment while he's eating his single man meal, looking at his single man TV. But essentially he's watching the news, and they're talking about the satellite that just came back to Earth that's studying the Petrova line. They're trying to figure out what it is, and they brought back samples, and they realized that that's the reason for the sun dimming, that red line going to Venus, all the heat's leaving the sun, and nobody knows why yet. So he's like, oh, this is crazy, I have to tell my kids. But then he thinks about it for a second. He's like, kids? I sure don't seem like I have kids. My apartment is like my single man apartment, my single man meal, my single man TV. He's like, I don't like where this is going. But then he remembers, oh, I'm a teacher. Yes, he's a teacher. So he can't remember his name yet, but he's remembering bits and pieces of who he is. And he's like, oh, of course, I'm a teacher. Yeah, that's what it was. And you jump back and forth a lot throughout the book, where you get these flashbacks where he's remembering more and more, and it kind of helps him throughout the waking up process as he's like getting out of the coma situation in the beginning of the book. You eventually get some more flashbacks. He's like struggling in the room with the beds for quite some time. Here's one thing I'll point out, actually, now that I'm talking about this section of the book. In the movie, it was very interesting. I kind of like how they did it in the movie, but I don't want to say that things were breezed or rushed, but they condensed a lot of what I'm describing here from the book in the movie. So if you do see the movie, it's still a great experience, but just so you know, you were missing a lot of meat and potatoes if you didn't read the book. Even if you saw the movie, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably a really good book to pick up and like catch some perspective on. You get a lot more of the science and descriptions of the things that go on throughout the book. I'll go into a little more spoilery explanations in a minute. But essentially, he gets a few more flashbacks where he remembers he's a teacher, and he's in a class with a bunch of his kids, and he plays like this beanbag game. He like tosses the beanbag to the kids, and they have to answer questions, and there's like the smart kids and the snarky girl who's like super smart, but she's super snarky, so he's like, oh, she's kind of annoying, but like he still credits her for being smart, right? There's a part after his class where he dismisses all his kids, and this woman comes in who she introduces herself as Miss Strat. When she walks in the room, she says, oh, Ryland Grace, and then he's like, yeah, who are you, like, and she explains to him that, oh, are you the guy who wrote this paper years ago about like life outside in space, and people and scientists who study the Goldilocks zone are like stupid or whatever, and they should study more? Which the Goldilocks zone, the life that we live on Earth, we live in the Goldilocks zone. Our planet can only survive in the Goldilocks zone in how our solar system works. You can't have an Earth without a Goldilocks zone. If there's a planet there, it probably looks like Earth, is the point of the whole Goldilocks zone thing. That's just like a very, very quick simplification of the Goldilocks zone. But essentially, he wrote a paper years ago talking about how there might be life in space that doesn't require water, that doesn't require hydrogen. And he explains in his paper that we don't know, there could be other evolutionary paths that species could have taken where it wouldn't make a little flesh person like us, and it could make something else. So she explains to him like, oh, well, we need you because this astrophage stuff, we want you to study this, or it's not even called astrophage yet, the microbiome stuff that they found in the Petrova line. She tells him that we kind of need you. You're the only person on Earth who wrote a paper sort of like this. We want to know how a little tiny thing like that can survive near the sun, and you're the only person who's ever written a paper about life not requiring water. He's like, I'm just a teacher, so I'm gonna go. And he tries to leave, and he goes home, and then he's picked up by these two dudes in like black suits, and they take him in a van. Then they take him to like this lab situation, and the same lady who met him at the school, Miss Stratz, she's there, explains to him like, no, we need you, like this is required. And he's like, oh, I guess I didn't really have a choice in this. So things start ramping up in the flashbacks. You start understanding more and more, piecing together what's going on here. But back on the ship, he remembers his name because she said his name. So in the ship, he's like celebrating. He's like, Ryland Grace, I'm Ryland Grace, and the computer is like correct, and it opens a little hatch door in the ceiling. There's like a ladder situation, and before he leaves the room, he looks at like the other 2 beds at the people also in comas like he was, and he realizes that they're both dead. He's like, oh, they're dead. He feels like some sort of emotion too when he sees them, but he doesn't remember who they are. He's still stuck trying to remember where he is and what he's doing and why he's so weak, why he was in a coma, plugged up with all sorts of stuff. But he's looking at these 2 people. It's a man and a woman, and he's just a little emotional, but he doesn't know why. He's like, they were probably important to me. But he eventually realizes that was his crew. He goes up to the other floor above him and realizes it's an entire science lab situation. And the more he explores around where he is, he eventually realizes, oh, I'm on a ship in space. He's on the other side of space. He doesn't realize he's on the other side of space either yet, though, because he's like looking out of a telescope situation in the pilot's room, and it's called the Petrovoscope, and they use it to like read the infrared light from the Petrova line so that they could see it without blinding themselves or something. But he's looking and he sees like a big glowing ball, and he's like, okay, it's the sun. I'm not too far from Earth then. I could probably get back. But then after a little more looking at the glowing dot, looking around and everything, he realizes, oh, that's not my sun. This is not my sun. I'm on the other side of space at a different solar system. What is happening? And he's piecing together his mission through, once again, more flashbacks where it explains that he and that woman Strat who took him to that lab, she's been telling him to study the little micro dots, and they eventually name it astrophage. So him studying the astrophage, he's trying to find ways of figuring out what they're made of. And there's all these government officials watching, and he's in like a glass containment with like a hazmat suit, and behind the glass there's a bunch of government officials watching, and he's like, is this all necessary? This might take a while. And the lady Strat explains, she's like, I got all day. I got all the time in the world. Eventually those government officials start like trickling away one by one until it's just Strat watching him behind the glass. And he's done everything to these little organisms. He's tried to burn them, he's tried to like drown them, freaking hit them with plasma and everything. He's doing every sort of science experiment he can to try to figure out what they're made of, until eventually he comes to the conclusion that he should just take a microscopic needle under a microscope and just poke it. And when he poked it, the little black dot disintegrated into an almost puddle-like shape, and he could see all the little inner workings of what they're made of. And he's like, I broke one, but then he realizes the little puddle, it's made of water. Somehow these little things are made of water. And he's explaining this to the woman Strat, and she's like, hey, look, man, it's okay that you were wrong about your paper, that this little life thing did contain water, when my whole point of bringing you here was because you wrote a paper about life not requiring water, and here we go, the thing that's near the sun has water in it. And he's like, I just don't understand how that's possible, but it's right here in front of me. And she's like, look, you made all sorts of other discoveries today. Look, we've made so much progress. Like, you should be happy. And he's sort of happy, but he's sort of upset. So, like, he doesn't really know if he should be celebrating yet. Back on his spaceship situation, he's slowly remembering, oh, I'm on the other side of space because I'm here to solve the whole astrophage problem, the whole sun dimming thing. The sun that he's at, that he sees that is not our sun, it's a different sun, is called Tau Ceti. And that sun they discovered out of all the suns in the solar system, in the galaxy right now. There's a bunch of other suns that also have Petrova lines that are dimming. Every sun is dimming throughout the galaxy except for that one, Tau Ceti. So they sent him there to try to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't know the full details of how he got put on the spaceship, but he knows that that's what he's here for. So as he gets closer and closer to the sun, he's using the Petrovoscope to try to see the red line, the sun, and to just get closer and closer but when he gets there through the telescope, he sees next to the sun a very bright heat source that keeps blinking not too far from the sun. And he realizes that the blinking is getting bigger and that it's getting closer, until finally he realizes, oh, that's another ship. And it is not a human-made ship. It's a big, giant, like, metal ship thing. It's not huge. It's just slightly bigger than his, and it kind of like rolls up next to him, and he's confused as to what it is, and he's making like almost first contact by flashing his light engines. Like his engines he flashes them a few times, and then the ship there flashes their engines a few times, and it's sort of a game of Simon Says between the two of them, until finally he sees that there's like a little robot arm on the other ship that has a little object, and it flings the little object, and it's like the silver tube, and it's flying towards his ship. So he realizes he doesn't have much time, but he goes out to the airlock and puts on an EVA suit so that he can walk outside the ship. And he decompresses, gets outside, and like clamps himself with a bunch of tethers to his ship, and reaches to grab the cylinder tube thing. And when he gets it, he brings it back inside, and he's using like a bunch of scanners and a bunch of analyzers to try to figure out what material this is. And it keeps reading as xenon, like xenon gas. And he's like, that's confusing because it's a solid. That makes no sense. How is this xenon gas solid? Like, he doesn't understand it. But he's trying forever to figure out how it opens. And he's trying like the main method, lefty loosey, righty tighty, and it's not opening. And then so he does it the opposite way, and it immediately opens. He's like, okay, I guess for them it's backwards. And so he takes out a thing from the containment, and it's like a little model thing of like his ship, and then there's like another model of like this, like made out of like this silver metallic-y material, these little dioramas that are essentially like there to explain what they want from this solar system or whatever's going on. And he's realizing, oh, these are little messages, like, oh, okay, that makes sense, this is like a little diorama of my ship. But then he's trying to figure out what this other diorama is, of like all these dots that are spread out, and it's like a model of the galaxy. He realizes, oh, this is like a map. And so the little map diorama thing, he takes some solder and he solders on a little piece to the galaxy map thing, solar system thing, and points like, oh, I'm Earth, my sun's over here, Earth's connected to here. And he tries to give it back, so he goes back out to the EVA and throws the little tube back. They do this little message back and forth thing for a little bit before the thing decides to like make a tube. It makes a long tunnel and attaches the tube, because it in one of the messages it's explaining that he wants to come on, or not come on the ship, but to make contact. And so it's like this big tube made out of that metal material that the alien ship is made out of, and he goes into it, and it's extremely dark, but at the end, in the middle of the tube, he's stopped by like a wall, and it's a really dark wall made out of different types of tile material, like all these little triangular hexagon materials of different elements. It looked like different elements, or this material that he doesn't fully understand. It's all different colors and different types of like this almost stone / metal like materials. And then he sees one of the little tiles is clear. It's almost glass-like, but it's just as solid as the rest of the other materials. And so he goes and he looks through it, and he doesn't see much yet, but there's it, because it's dark on both sides of the tunnel. He's trying to figure out what it is, but eventually you see this almost spider-like, what he describes as like a big old rock carapace shape with 5 legs that comes from the other side and is trying to make first contact. And he's like, this is crazy. I'm on the other side of space for studying why our sun's dying, and I'm over here meeting a little rock dude spider thing, and he's baffled at his situation. The rock thing, it's making noises that sound almost like what he describes as like almost similar or akin to like whale noises, and it's melodic, like chords and like an organ, like a piano or something, making chords. So he goes and he gets like 2 laptops from his lab, and he tapes them together. He downloads like he downloads like a waveform analyzer and an audio recording app on both these 2 laptops, but he tapes them together so that he doesn't have to switch through softwares. He just wants to switch laptops whenever he needs whatever software he has open. So he starts recording the little rock dude back and forth in the tunnel. They eventually like upgrade the tunnel, and that wall that he saw that was made out of all the materials is now made out of just that clear material. And he's like, oh, okay. I guess this little alien species realized that I liked that one out of all the other materials there. So like you get a lot of like cool, interesting perspectives now that this little alien rock spider dude's here, where you're realizing, oh, he has his own like culture and everything and understanding of life and how he functions, because the Ryland Grace, the scientist, he realizes like, oh, this dude doesn't have eyes, like how does he see? He probably sees through like touch. And they eventually like learn each other's languages because of the translating laptop situation. Like the more the rock spider dude feeds information to the laptop, the more he can translate certain words, and they play this little like almost game of telephone through each other's languages, until eventually they just have enough words that they understand of each other, and they kind of want to work together. They reach a point where it's like, all right, all the fun and games of our Simon Says and stuff is cool and all, but why are you here? And he realizes the rock dude is there for the same reason he is. His solar system has a Petrovaline, his sun's dimming. The little rock dude explains that he's been there for like 40 something years trying to figure this out, and him being here, like the human being here, he's like, oh, you're here trying to figure it out too? And he's like, yeah, I gotta be quick about it though. And he's like, oh, why? He's like, well, we don't have much time back at home. He's like, oh, us rock people, Iridians, they're called Iridians, by the way. He eventually names them Iridians because the planet that we know that they live on, that we didn't know that they live on, but we know their planet as Iridani 40. So he named the little rock species in what our human English would be as Iridians. So the little Iridian rock dude is confused as to why he's in such a rush, and he's like, yeah, that we don't have much time back on Earth. Like, a bunch of people are gonna die and stuff. He's like, oh, like how long people live? And he's like, humans don't live that long. And then the little rocky dude explains to him that he's like, oh, we live for a long time. Like he's like, I'm like 200 years old right now. So like he's like, realizes, oh, I need to help you and you need to help me, so I'm gonna rush now. Like the rock dude was taking his time until he realized, oh, you don't have the same lifespan as me, so now it's go time. And they start doing things together to try to solve this whole Petrovaline astrophage situation. And I don't want this video to drag on for too long, so just to explain essentially some of the meat and potatoes, he's working with a freaking rock alien dude that he met on the other side of space to try to solve a situation that they both have where their suns are dimming, and they're at this solar system trying to figure out why this sun is not dimming. Tau Ceti is not dimming, but it still has a Petrovaline. So that Petrovaline is going to this other planet that they name Adrian, and the Adrian planet has like an atmosphere that they realize after getting a sample through a very dangerous mission. They almost lost their ship and they started spinning and everything, that the life on the atmosphere of that planet has other microbiomes in it outside of the astrophage, like other types of space bacteria, and they discovered that it's eating the astrophage. They have a natural predator, so they realize, oh, if we take a sample of this and figure out how to replicate it, we can take it back to my solar system and your solar system, and we can solve the astrophage problem. We could put the natural predators in the red lines of our own solar system so that they can eventually clean up the astrophage, and then our suns won't dim. Yay, we'll save the day. But they run into like a few hiccups, which I don't know if I want to go into too much detail about the ending, because yes, the movie's out, but you should probably still read this book. The more I go into it, the more I feel like I'm gonna get too deep. I'm also trying not to lose the bookmark space. I got my girlfriend reading it right now, and she's doing a pretty good job. In like a couple of days, she kind of made a dent already. To anyone who wants to read this book, you're gonna have to just get to the end here, because I don't really feel like I should go too deep into it. I will say, yes, we're gonna solve our astrophage problem, sure, but there's a lot more to this ending that I really enjoyed, which is conveyed really well throughout the movie, might I say, but you get a lot more out of the stuff that goes down here. Like your adventures with the adventures of Ryland, Grace, and Rocky is super cool to experience in book form. So whether you saw the movie or not, I highly recommend this book. I think I'm gonna leave it there, because yeah, I don't think I want to explain the ending. Yeah, I think you guys are gonna get played here, and I'm not gonna explain the whole ending situation here, because it's a really good ending. I like it. If we were to rate this book, out of all the books we've rated so far, I'm giving it a lot of praise. There's some parts of the science that it's like, okay, I could kind of see that, and I gotta stretch my imagination a little bit if we're talking about real world science. But I like it regardless. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's a book. It's sci-fi. There's to anyone who's kind of stuck on the whole like it's not 100% accurate science. Like, I think this is one of those situations where you can literally enjoy this book regardless of whatever scientific hiccups that you spot here and there. But everything that you do get in here that Andy Weir fleshes out, I feel like he did a great job fleshing out. I love Rocky, and this was an emotional roller coaster, and I think I would give this book a 9 out of 10. I was gonna say 9.5, maybe. I don't know if maybe 9.5 is appropriate. Maybe 9.5. You know what? I like this book so much, I would definitely say it's a 9.5 out of 10. If you're upset with that, maybe leave a comment below and tell me what you think about Project Hail Mary. If you like this video, I'm sure you like all the other videos on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye. A toodaloo. Very good book. Also, the movie's like an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good.